Once upon a time, in the busy streets of London, lived a man named Jack Turner. Jack was not always a beggar. In fact, years before, he was a hard-working, middle-class man with dreams, ambitions, and a modest family life. However, fate took a cruel turn, and through a series of unfortunate events, he found himself homeless, penniless, and wandering the cold, unforgiving streets of England's capital city. The fall from grace. Jack grew up in a small town in Yorkshire, where he was raised in a humble household. His parents were farmers, and from a young age, he understood the value of hard work. After school, he moved to London to pursue a career in carpentry. He was talented with his hands and had an eye for detail, making him a favorite among his clients. Jack built a modest business, got married, and had 2 children. Life was good, simple, and filled with the love of his family. But then, tragedy struck. Jack's wife, Mary, was diagnosed with a terminal illness. The medical expenses drained their savings, and as her health deteriorated, so did Jack's business. He had to take care of her, and in doing so, he lost most of his clients. His once thriving business collapsed, and within a year, Jack found himself selling his house to pay for Mary's treatment. When she passed away, he was not only heartbroken but also completely destitute. Without his wife and with no home to call his own, Jack's children were taken into care by social services, as he could no longer provide for them. Jack was left with nothing but the clothes on his back, a small bag of possessions, and memories of a life that had slipped away. He wandered the streets, trying to find work, but without a permanent address or clean clothes, no one would hire him. Soon, Jack joined the ranks of the invisible homeless, blending into the backdrop of London's bustling streets. Life on the streets. Living on the streets of London was brutal. Jack faced constant rejection, humiliation, and the bitter cold of the English winters. Every day was a struggle to find food, warmth, and a safe place to sleep. The once proud carpenter, who had built homes for others, now slept under bridges and in doorways, finding shelter where he could. His only source of income was begging. At first, Jack found it difficult to hold out his hand and ask for help. He felt ashamed, humiliated by his circumstances. But hunger has a way of stripping away pride, and soon, he joined the many others who lined the streets, hoping for a few spare coins from passers-by. Despite the hardships, Jack never let go of the hope that one day, things might change. He held on to the belief that he could rebuild his life, though that hope seemed dim as days turned into months, and months turned into years. He often thought of his children, wondering how they were doing and if they even remembered him. A glimmer of hope. One cold, rainy evening, as Jack sat on the steps of an old building with a small cardboard sign that read, "Homeless. Please help," a woman named Emily stopped in front of him. She was a social worker in her mid-30s with a kind heart and an eye for those in need. Unlike most passers-by who ignored Jack or threw a few coins his way, Emily paused and looked at him. "Hello," she said softly, sitting down next to him, ignoring the cold, wet pavement. "What's your name?" "Jack," he replied, surprised that someone had taken the time to speak to him. "Jack Turner." "How long have you been out here, Jack?" Emily asked. Jack sighed, running a hand through his unkempt hair. "Too long." Emily didn't pity him. Instead, she listened as he told her his story, how he lost everything, how his children were taken away, and how he ended up on the streets. Emily had heard similar stories before, but something about Jack's resilience, despite everything he had been through, touched her deeply. "Would you like some help?" she asked, her voice gentle but firm. Jack nodded, though he wasn't entirely sure what kind of help she could offer. After all, many had made similar promises before, and nothing had ever come of it. The path to redemption. True to her word, Emily didn't disappear. She returned the next day with a plan. She connected Jack to a local shelter that provided not only a warm bed but also counseling services, job training, and medical care. At first, Jack was hesitant to accept help, feeling that he had sunk too low to ever recover. But Emily's constant encouragement and the kindness of the shelter staff slowly rekindled a spark of hope within him. The road to recovery was not easy. Jack had to battle his own demons, including depression and feelings of worthlessness. But with the help of counselors and support from the shelter, he began to rebuild his life piece by piece. He enrolled in a job training program to update his carpentry skills, and the shelter helped him reconnect with his children, who were now teenagers. One of the most difficult moments for Jack was facing his children again. He feared they would hate him for abandoning him, even though it was not his choice. But when they met, the reunion was emotional and bittersweet. His children, though hurt by their separation, had always remembered him fondly. Slowly, they began to rebuild their relationship, visiting him regularly at the shelter. A second chance. With his new carpentry skills and a clean set of clothes, Jack began to look for work again. This time, it was different. The shelter provided him with references, and Emily helped him prepare for interviews. After several months of searching, Jack finally found a job with a local construction company that valued his experience and skill. Jack worked hard, grateful for the second chance he had been given. Slowly but surely, he saved enough money to rent a small flat. It wasn't much, but it was a place to call home after years of living on the streets. Jack's children began to visit him more frequently, and their bond grew stronger with time. Despite his new life, Jack never forgot his time on the streets. He knew how easy it was to fall through the cracks and how difficult it was to climb back out. He began volunteering at the same shelter that had helped him, offering his carpentry skills to fix up the building and teaching workshops for other homeless individuals who wanted to learn a trade. The power of kindness. Jack's story became known in the local community, and many were inspired by his resilience and determination. His life became a testament to the power of kindness, not only from Emily but from every person who had helped him along the way. Jack often reflected on how one simple act of compassion, Emily sitting down next to him on that cold, rainy night had changed the course of his life. Years later, Jack opened his own small carpentry business, employing people from disadvantaged backgrounds, giving them the same second chance he had been given. His business grew, and with it, his ability to help others. Jack never became wealthy, but he found something far more valuable: purpose, dignity, and a way to give back to the world that had once turned its back on him. A life transformed. Jack's journey from the streets to stability was not just a personal victory but a reminder that no matter how dire the circumstances, there is always hope. His story spread throughout the city, and he was often invited to speak at events about homelessness, sharing his experiences and advocating for better support systems for those in need. In his talks, Jack would always emphasize that while it was his determination that helped him rise again, it was the kindness of strangers that made it possible. He spoke about the importance of seeing the humanity in every person, no matter how far they have fallen, and how a single act of kindness could be the turning point in someone's life. Conclusion: Jack Turner's story is one of resilience, hope, and the transformative power of kindness. From a life of comfort and love, to the harsh realities of homelessness, and finally to redemption and renewal, Jack's journey reminds us that no one is beyond saving. With the right support, encouragement, and a little bit of kindness, even the most broken lives can be rebuilt. Jack's life became a beacon of hope for those who had lost everything, and his legacy continued to inspire others long after his time.